So this is going to be hard for me to talk about. But the Valentine's Day product drop that I had was a big flop. All right, they say January is a rough month for business, and I have to agree. Come along with me as I show the numbers of my Etsy shop for January, reflection back on December, and what I plan to do next. So, hi, I'm Desha. Welcome back to my channel. On my channel, I talk about my small business where I sell bookish merch and like items for book lovers. And I just talk about Etsy selling, the things that work, the things that don't. So if that piques your interest or you're curious about my journey, then come along. So right off the bat, we're just going to get into some stats. So I'm going to talk about how much money I made this month, just some transparent numbers, what I think worked, what didn't work, and some tweaks I'm going to be making. So right off the bat, let's talk about the basics, like the numbers that you came here for. In terms of revenue, for the month of January, I made $871. And that is not bad by any means. I had 38 orders. So that means like 38 people that came and bought from my shop. That's not bad, but I'm going to get into why that's disappointing in a minute. During this time period, my best selling products were annotation kits. One of those orders was actually a bulk order, which made up a big percentage of that revenue. Annotation reaction stickers. And then at the end of the month, I sold some annotated books. And it was really interesting because my husband was saying, he's like, wow, you haven't sold any annotated books in a while. And I said, yeah, I know. It's kind of weird. And then I had 2 in one day. And then like the last day of January. So yesterday, January 31st, I got another order for one of the same books that I already sold this last week. So it's just interesting that to watch the traction that you get after something sells on Etsy. So this was pretty telling on what I should be focusing my efforts on based off my best-selling products for this past month. So just to tell you a little bit more about what was going on in January, I launched a couple products. One of those was my Valentine's Day collection kind of thing that I made. At the end of the month, I launched my magnetic annotation kits. I already had romance, but I meant to go back and like make other genres after I made romance, and I never did. So I added dark romance, fantasy, romantasy, horror, and thriller. So now I have 6 kits in all. And my conversion rate was 1.2%, which I know a lot of people like have thoughts on what the number should be. Obviously, it could be better. However, it's just it's a learning curve and a work in progress. So looking at what I reinvested money into, this month I spent $333 on ads, and from those ads I made $575. So I talked about ads a little bit before. I do think they can be pricey. They are a gamble. However, I have to look at it that if I hadn't spent that $333, I would not have made the profit that came from those ads. Well, more than likely would not have. With that cost, I also had to do some product restock. So especially I had that bulk order that wiped me out on blue tabs. So I had to order more annotation tabs. I also had to order more lamination sheets to make bookmarks. I ordered tassels that go on the bookmarks, and I'm mostly focused on getting colors that sell a lot because with that bulk order, I was very stressed. This order needed a lot of blue things, and I sell a lot of things in blues and purples and pinks. And when that happens and I don't have bulk of those, I get stressed trying to see if I can get it in time. But of course, I've talked about before, I don't want to buy too much things in advance, not knowing what's going to sell. So I feel like those have been enough. Like some of the things have been consistent enough where I felt more comfortable going ahead and ordering those blue tabs. And then any books that I sold, I had to replenish those. So the books that I sold for the annotated books, so Bunny and Daisy Jones and the Six, and then I sold another Bunny, I needed to buy another copy to replace those. Basically, annotated books are made to order, so I do have them on hand, but I don't actually annotate them until they sell. And then I also bought some books for Blind Date with a Book because I did add, oh, I forgot about this. I guess that was this past month. I added fantasy, romantasy to my shop. At first, I only had contemporary romance and dark romance. So I restart dark romance because I only had one book, and then I added fantasy and romantasy. So here's the part that makes January feel more disappointing, even though that number is not bad at all, especially compared to maybe some things that other people are seeing in their shops. So I'm very thankful. However, Looking back, and this is kind of like a post-holiday reality check. Um, in the month of December, I made $1,300. And then looking back even further than that, November I almost made $1,700. So for this month to be significantly lower when you want to see growth every month, that's been hard. But this is my first time selling in January, and I keep hearing people say like people really don't buy in January. Like they have their resolutions and they're trying not to spend money, and they just got over the holiday rush. So I'm trying to just be aware and just take that as it is and use this as like a time for like restock and development and trying to pivot and figure out what I'm doing. So when I share these numbers, it's not to like flex or try to be, like, oh, look at me. It's more about showing like what's possible and but also what's realistic. So like what I'm seeing. So some things that I think worked in January. I think when I looked at the things that were selling the best and looking at those stats over the months, realizing that I keep putting my focus in other things too, like stickers and, trying to make this collection. Like I made the Valentine's Day collection, which I will touch on in a minute. I spent time on those, but watching annotation kits sell, annotated stickers, and annotated books. I'm sure you just heard the three common denominators. The annotation stuff is what is leading the pack versus everything else is just kind of like sprinkled in. It's like, oh, I might sell one of these stickers or something like this, but my core things, I need to keep that the main thing. So seasonal items haven't been doing as well. My evergreen products have been. So put in more focus and more of my time into those things. I already mentioned that about the magnetic bookmarks. So I haven't sold any yet, but like it takes when you upload a listing, it's like, okay, everybody buy it, but you also have to wait for it to gain some traction. And I really haven't promoted those on social media like I probably should have. So I'll probably work on making some content for those. So this is going to be hard for me to talk about. But the Valentine's Day product drop that I had was a big flop. I don't know if it's because I'm projecting what I think other people would like I'm taking the things that I like and like making them and trying to sell them to other people and they just don't like them or they just don't want to spend the money or it's just not something they're interested in. But it's been hard watching something I put so much effort into not do well. So for that job, I created 4 bookmarks, 7 stickers, and 1 annotation kit. And you could kind of mix and match. So you could just get the annotation kit. You could do the stickers and the bookmarks, or you could do all of them for a price. And I don't know. Actually, it could even be the price point. So just, I need to play around with that and see like what it is that's not working. So, because I did kind of combine some elements that aren't normal together. It's kind of like a cowboy romance thing, but there were also like ghosts. But I like ghosts. I think they're so cute. Um, so, but again, that's like taking my preference of me being, I don't know, like a little weird and putting it out there versus what people actually want to see. So, I really don't have another holiday coming up anytime soon that I have like a special collection planned for. So, I don't know if I'm going to, make something else or, just stick more with evergreen things. I think that's just been a reminder that not everything is going to work and that's okay. Everything can't be a success, right? I think it would be amazing if it was, but we do what we can, we pivot, we are flexible, we watch the stats and we adjust from there. So that's where I'm at now. It's just all a learning curve and making those adjustments. That way I can be more prepared for the rest of the year. So even though this month was kind of like, I've learned a lot. If you've watched my previous video, I talked about I'm doing the 12-week year where I've been very consistent with social media. I've been very consistent with posting and promotion. And it's very rewarding to know that I can put myself out there and make these things come true and keep working on that. So even though this month was just okay, it's still a time of growth and flexibility and reflection. And I'm proud of that. So with that, I'm still going to market my Valentine's Day collection, even though it's not selling as much. I'm still going to put my heart and soul into it, see if it'll gain some traction. But as far as launching new products, I'm trying to see how I can take my annotation kits to a new level. And I've already been doing some like research and development kind of thing. Trying to see what I can do next because that is the thing that has been bringing people in. So my question is, Like, what do you think about January sales? Like, if you, especially if you're a small business, how did it go for you? And do you like this kind of video? Is it something you want to see next month too? Because I'm interested to see how February changes. Of course, February is a little bit shorter of a month, but I'm looking forward to see like how sales increase or decrease, from January to February. I'm still going to put in the work. Um, but yeah, just seeing how that goes. So thank you for hanging out with me, looking at these stats, talking numbers with me, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.